education, right? Schooling's not important. Education, critically important. If you're like me and you didn't go to college, you probably had a feeling that something about you is kind of retarded and that you need to like fucking fix that, right? You need to like, I think I had this idea one time. It was this question: what would happen if you actually read 100 books? I just think about it. Like, what would happen in your life if you went to the bookstore, you found 100 of the best books on business, marketing, sales, psychology, and you just spent 2 years and read them all, right? You just invested that into your life. What do you think would happen? You don't know. Nobody knows. You're fucking completely clueless, and nobody can actually predict what happened. But in fact, what could happen is your life is definitely never going to be the same again. You're definitely going to have some sort of wisdom and uncover some sort of ideas from the people who've been before you, and your life is never going to be the same again. What if you would do it just to see what happens? Would you be down to read 100 books just to see what happens? That's the question. I asked myself that question back when I was a skateboarder. I just thought it was hilarious. I was like, I'm going to read 100 books just to see what happens. I don't fucking care what I learn. Doesn't matter. I'm just curious about what's going to happen in general. Through the journey, I've discovered a lot of really amazing, beautiful books. I'm going to go through the ones that I see already. So I'm going to hit one that's called Mastery. This is an incredible book by Robert Greene. All the results that you want out of life comes from your skills, how good you are, right? If you're mediocre, you get no results. If you're great, you get some results. If you're really good, you start to get good results. But if you're fucking the best in the world, you get 95% of the results. Michael Jordan gets 95% of the attention from anyone who ever played basketball. Mastery, your ability to become great, is what changes a lot, and this book talks about the process of becoming a master in this space. With Winning in Mind, this is a book that was written by an Olympic archer, and he talks about the mindset of Olympians. There's so many fucking pro tips inside of there. One of my best ones is one of the biggest mistakes people make on the Olympics is they put it on a pedestal. Kind of like when you talk to a pretty girl. Oh, she's so big. This is such a big event. This is so this, that. The reality is every situation, if you look at it like just another situation, it's the same, right? If any sporting event, it's just you doing the same thing you've always been doing. But when people put it on a pedestal, people get out of the flow and you begin to fall off and collapse. There's so many ideas around that in terms of your identity, right? Your skills, your self-worth that attribute to your ability to win at the end of the day. And I love this book. I got underlines all the place. What you say is not important. What you cause yourself or others to picture is critical, right? The images in your mind is so much more important than what you say. It talks about goal setting. It talks about mental tools, mental programs. I mean, this book is absolutely phenomenal. I often shoot 39. These are affirmations. I am on the U.S. Olympic team. I am often shoot below par. I am one of the most consistent players on my team. Like, fucking affirmations, bro. Affirmations are the real deal, right? You thinking about the version of yourself that is the best in the world, what kind of things would be happening, what true affirmations would be true by that. You got to be constantly writing down affirmations. That's why they're so important. A guy named Brian Tracy, this guy is a legend in the personal development space, create your own future. Absolute legend in terms of just critical success habits, you being the best version of yourself, which, by the way, goes to my second favorite book of all time, Psycho-Cybernetics. I've read this book actually more than I've ever read any other book, and the only reason I found that was because of the first time I got evicted. I'll tell you a quick story about what happens when you read a lot. The first thing you do when you read is you read all the books you think you'll get good at to level up your skills. Then you hit a thing called the glass ceiling. And that glass ceiling, typically if you're like most people, will destroy you. You're gonna go up, you're gonna hit a ceiling, a plateau, and you're gonna start going down, you're gonna get beat down. And because of that glass ceiling, I got evicted from my place in San Diego, but I felt it. You know what I mean? This is really weird because I started to get to a glass wall that I realized it doesn't really matter how much I know, something's fucking blocking me from succeeding, this self-sabotage. So I stopped reading books and I started doing everything. I stopped reading marketing books and I started reading subconscious mind books. And Psycho-Cybernetics was the answer, along with this book right here, Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. This is on the idea that your identity, which is who you believe you are, right? One of my favorite quotes by Tony Robbins is the strongest force in human nature is your need to stay consistent with who you believe you are, which means if you think you're a fucking new entrepreneur, you're not going to be a winning entrepreneur. If you think you're a new entrepreneur and you have an opportunity to be successful, you're going to fuck it up because your identity is as a new entrepreneur, and that's what I had. So I wasn't able to close important deals because I believed I was a new entrepreneur. And I had to begin calling myself. This is why the quantum jumping idea is so powerful, because you're visualizing you as the higher self. You don't break through glass ceilings. In fact, it's not a glass ceiling, it's a bubble. It's a glass bubble that goes below you, around you, and all the way above you. And you don't break through them, you move the bubble. The whole bubble moves in one. The whole bubble moves, and you find yourself outside of the bubble. Because as soon as you start saying that you're a rich guy or you're a millionaire, right, and you start to believe it, because there's a future of you in the future that is a millionaire, and that version is you, so technically you are a millionaire because that person in the future is you, then the bubble changes, right? And all of a sudden you're outside of where you're supposed to be, your subconscious mind picks up. So the way to break through glass ceilings is by imagination. It is through identity. Identity is the root cause of all self-sabotage. If you get into this, it's very important for you to fucking think about that stuff. There we go. Millionaire Fast Lane. Finally, somebody I could listen to that was crushing it. Millionaire Fast Lane. This is the guy who did, I don't think it was cars.com, but it was one of those kind of businesses. He was making 10 grand every 2 days doing lead generation. MJ DeMarco, still remember the guy's name. Millionaire Fast Lane. I've got more notes in this fucking thing. I read this thing in 3 days and I was going ham on these things. Look at these notes. I mean, this is hard. This was the heavy fucking shit in terms of how stoked I was, because this one he really like broke down the different ways that you can make money on the internet, and he made it a lot simpler for me to understand, which I really appreciated. And that was dope, right? Of course, we have the game. I was living in Las Vegas at a time. I was really bad with girls. I was talking to these 2 really attractive girls that I liked, but something about what I was doing caused me to scare them fucking off, and I had no idea what it was. And I got so sick of it that I was like, I'm going to start reading some books on girls because something I'm doing is not working. Anyway, this book had a lot of really good tricks, and it's legendary for this. I was just hanging out with Neil in Estonia. Pretty much we're friends now. That's a cool story. But it gave us it gives you the fucking playbook for picking up girls with one-night stands kind of thing. But it wasn't until I found the second book, Models, telling about how not to be needy and how to have this cool energy that attracts girls to you, and basically just not being a needy, attractive person, but also being clear about what you want. Like if you think someone is really hot, you just say it. Like you open. So you're like, I love that. I love this. This stuff is cool. So you're own about the things that you're true to yourself, because a lot of people just aren't true. Like if they think a girl is cute, they're not true about it. They're trying to like lie to themselves or make it secret to them. Models really changed that all for me in a big way. Influence. If you're in marketing, this is a fucking fundamental marketing book. This is about the 6 different ways you're able to influence somebody. If I can rip on it, it's authority, it's consistency, it's social proof, which is a lot of people that see it, it's scarcity, that's a really important one, which is there's not enough to go around, I better get mine right now. There's likability, and reciprocity, which I did something good for you, you do it for me. So in business, you need to learn these specific things, because if you hit on these, that inspires people to take action and inspires people to buy. Man's Search for Meaning. I just talked about this one. This is the guy who survived Auschwitz. It's a legendary life book, completely legendary, about a man who found a reason to live the worst situation possible when everyone else was dying. He lost his wife, he lost his kids, and he lost his life's fucking work. They didn't have the internet back then or hard drives to save shit. They burned it all. And he decided he wasn't going to die. He decided he was going to live on and write a story about it so people could understand what the fuck happened in this whole thing. 80-20 sales and marketing. There is a rule in life called 80-20. This ain't a fucking idea. This is a law in the universe, which means that out of all the things, very few things that you're doing are getting 80% of the results. 20% of the things you do get 80% of the things with your results. 20% of the roads in the world get 80% of the traffic. It's this weird law. And if you understand this law, you'll understand that most shit is bullshit, but the very few things get the vast majority of results. So this teaches you how to declutter all the things in your life that don't fucking matter and focus on the few things that get the vast majority of results going on right here. This is my first What Did I Learn journal right here. I'm really proud of this one. I started it in 2013, which is literally just turned 10 years old not too long ago. And it's this idea of writing down a journal of things that you learn so that in the future, you'll just have all sorts of dope fucking shit, right? I just got done reading Jeff Bezos' Invent in Wander book, which was very phenomenal. The first 6, it talks about his letters to his shareholders the first 5 years at Amazon, and it's fucking phenomenal. How to stop worrying and how to start living. This is pretty cool. You want to know a secret? There's only 2 things in life you can worry about. Things you can control and things you can't control, right? 2 things. Now, if you can't control it, what's the point of worrying about it, right? You can't do anything about it. There's no point in worrying about it. So if you can't control it, don't worry about it. Now, if you can control it, let's think about this. That means you can do something about it. And if you can do something about it, you can fix it. And if you can fix it, what's the point of worrying about it? Because you can fix it. So that's the full circle of literally everything there is to worry about, things you can control and things you can't control. And worry doesn't fit into the picture. So worry is just something that really doesn't make sense. And it is a immature emotional pattern that you just fucking, if you just really think about it, there's no point of worrying at all because you can do something about it. So How to Stop Worrying and Start Living is a really, really cool book. Some of the last ideas, Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. That's a shout out. Money Master the Game. I never read this one, but Tony Robbins' other book is phenomenal, which is Awaken the Giant Within, which I think is upstairs. This is really the book that started it all for me, which is Cash Flow Quadrant by the Rich Dad Poor Dad idea. If you're just getting out of high school, this is the fucking one that's going to teach you about employees, small business owners, big business owners, and investors. This is the level of life that you move through, working for other people, creating your own job, which is like a prison, creating a big business, which gives you freedom, and then learning to have that money invest for you, which is ultimate freedom. But really, the funny thing about financial freedom is just the ability to do whatever the fuck you want to do, right? So a lot of times the first exciting thing is like doing nothing, right? But in reality, life and pleasure and purpose and passion comes from doing things. So it's not like you really want to do nothing with your life. That's kind of a sad rookie idea. A couple other things. The War of Art. This is phenomenal. This talks about you and your fucking bullshit ideas on why you're not wanting to go do and create and be a badass. You have this like mental war that's going on that's causing you to self-sabotage or like not take action. You know, those little fucking voices in your head that don't have your back. That's what this is about. A lot of artists go through this consistent war. There's the Lean Startup. This is a mandatory book for all startup owners. If you don't fucking read this shit, you're fucked, because this is a book about the MVP. What's the least amount I can do to build a product to show that people like the product and want to buy what I have to offer? The biggest mistake people make is they go so fucking hard and add all the features and they realize that nobody wanted to buy their shit anyway. They spent 2 years to build a thing and they're devastated. When in reality is you need to move fast, you need to test really fast. Chances are it's not going to work, and you need to pivot and move really fast. You need to, what I call GTM. You need to get the fucking money as fast as possible, because the money is the only proof that what you have is valuable. I read this book many years ago. Story about a guy who, he was a radio repairman and he knew a lot about electricity, and he was working on his kid, and he wondered if there was he knew there was electricity in the brain, and he wondered if there was like a reason why some of her brain power could be increased with electricity. So turns out he did some tests on his kid and figured out his kid was fucking psychic. That's where he did this shit. And he tested on a bunch of other kids, found out those kids were psychic when he applied these techniques, these mental visualization techniques. And he went on a fucking run of a lifetime. He built a literally $100 million company in the 70s called the Silva Mind Control Method, where we teach people how to do mind control and unlock the power of your mind. Legendary book. Mind Valley acquired the rights to this business. And when I got with Mind Valley, this was the campaign that became the biggest campaign in the entire world. I made a video selling Silva Ultramind. It's got over 100 million views. And literally paid for this fucking house, paid for the Lambo, paid for a lot of this shit. Oh, this was a really cool book, right? Michael Jordan. If Michael Jordan came to your city and was going to teach you some dope wisdom, would you fucking go? Would you give Michael fucking 30 minutes to listen to what he had to say about you creating a dope life? I can't accept not trying. Well, guess what? Michael fucking sat down and wrote a book on it, right? You can sit down in that chair right now and read a tiny little book, right? I got underlines all day long in this thing also. The fundamentals will never change. Get the fundamentals down and you will rise. Talent wins game, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. Anyway, the idea with this is that some of the best people in the world sat down and invested in putting their ideas down, and you can just sit and learn from them. I was alone in the woods and had nobody, and I found books to be my friend. I can talk to books And I started to. It's just imagine the guy was like, sit down and shut the fuck up. That's basically what books are. Listen to me. Code of the Extraordinary Mind. That's Vishen Lakhiani. That's my business partner. Here's the model's book, Attract Women Through Honesty. Sounds like the fucking stupidest cover ever, but it's really legit as fuck. You read this, you got really good at talking with girls. In fact, I got 2 of them. This one's all beat the fuck up because this was going to town on that one, right? Really solid. There you go. How to become attractive and with non-neediness. Super dope. Classic. Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Imaging, right? The power to change your life with positive imaging. Seeing yourself in a new light, seeing yourself in a new way can really change your fucking results in life. Anyway, couple of books I can't find on the wall. Just kidding. Let's finish it off with Conversations with God. The last book I ever read before my life exploded in my dreams of being a young supercar owner, balling out, making 50 grand every 2 weeks with my feet in the sand in the Caribbean, dating hot Swedish models, came true. Fucking would you believe that, right? So I read all about business, hit the glass ceiling. Read about the glass ceiling, started to get some results, but the wheels on the bus would fall off on their own. I discovered that there was something else going on. There is a spiritual force happening that will block you. There is a creative energy that will destroy what you're working on. Naturally, bad luck, some people like to call it. And the force actually is controllable, believe it or not. And this is a story about an old man who looked up in the sky, just broke his neck, just lost his job, just lost his girlfriend. He looks up at the sky and he's like, fuck you, motherfucker. Why does life have to be such a pain in the ass? Why does life have to be a struggle? Is money always going to be tight? And here's his voice. You really want an answer to that. You really want to know why money's always been a struggle. You really want to know why you can't, hold a relationship, or why this fucking life is constantly a pain. It's like, yeah, I do. So in 4 days, he writes this book. He writes down this conversation on a yellow notepad. It's a back and forth from God. I got a ton of notes in here. Life's about creating yourself. It's not about finding yourself, right? Life is a creation, not a discovery. The words that you say are the words that's creating your reality. The pictures that you say to yourself are the pictures that's saying your reality. I remember he's got this quote in here where he goes, God, when is life going to take off? And God goes, when you choose for it to take off. When you decide life is taking off, right? If you think about the idea of your life taking off, most people go, I want my life to take off. Well, I need my life to take off. No one ever decides your life is taking off right now, right? It's that want energy in the word need energy. You're always saying stuff that pushes things away from you, because when you say want, that means you don't actually have it. So when you're affirming to the universe that you don't have something, the universe goes, okay, I'll make sure you keep not having it. If you ever get close to that thing you want, I'll make sure it gets further away, right? Like running after a fucking girl or running after a fucking thing. It's that kind of energy with goals too. The only way to attract the thing into your life is to believe as if you already have it now and tune in with the version of you in your future that already has it. Completely enlightening book. I read it at the worst rock bottom situation, and it began to turn things around. Suddenly, luck began to happen, which is why I am so fucking spiritual, because at the end of the day, miracles. The situation I'm in right now was a result of 10 miracles that came together to align to give me what's going on right now. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a fucking legend. Anything you see by him, go read it. The guy is completely off the rocker, brilliant, what he had to do. This book changed my life right here. Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson. This is the idea. You know how people like try to think about what they're doing? You know how they try to think about how to take action? Ready, fire, aim. Pull the fucking trigger before you aim the fucking gun. That's what it's about. Pull the trigger before you aim the gun. You'll know exactly where to aim it the next time, but you won't be scared of taking action. This is about taking action before you think about how scared you are. And this is a life-changing book right here. Look at another one, Making It Big. This guy's balling out. He does real estate on a big way. I just like his vibe right there. He's got the fucking big rock star hair, and he's got this big-ass mansion. Make it big! 49 secrets to building a life of extreme success. Fuck yeah. I'm about it, man. I'm about it. Way of the Superior Man. That's a legendary book. Know it. Love it. Here's the other bookshelf, right? Just the last thing you gotta see is like, books really changed it all for me. You know, I go to the store, I go to Barnes & Noble just to chill sometimes because I just have so much passion and love for it. And it's fucking great. So that's it for the books section. I guess last thing I can show you is the vision board. My girlfriend got me this fucking vision board. It's custom painted. We got the guy with the fucking six-pack. lightning bolt, faith. Faith is the feeling something amazing is about to happen. We got yachts, we got Genius AI jets, we got a little fucking dude. And it's all about God's plan, right? About being a warrior for God and just fucking going all the way. Good night, sir. That's the end of the thing for the day. I'll see you in the next one.